The pen clicked once, then twice, then silence. Ryan exhaled, staring down at the last line of the marriage registration form. Her signature was there. So was his. John Jungkook, CEO of one of biggest private conglomerates in the city, always crisp, always unreadable, always exactly 5 steps ahead of everyone in the room. He didn't look at her, just reached for the document, folded it neatly, and handed it back to the clerk. That's it, he said, voice cool, clipped. We are done. She nodded. Right. No congratulations, no pictures, no flowers. Just two names on a form, two strangers, legally bound by contract. He stood, adjusting the cuffs of his dark suit. Let's go. The ride to his penthouse was silent. Ryan didn't ask questions. She had already read the contract 3 times. The arrangement was simple 1 year marriage in name only, with full residence in his private home. Compassion generous, conditions firm. Her only real job, take care of the child. The no one had mentioned until the final page, a 6 month old infant, no name listed, no parentage declared. The penthouse elevator opened with a soft chime. Ryan followed Jungkook through the sleek hall, past high gloss black floors and cool white walls, minimalist, silent, every surface perfect, until they reached the living room, and the air changed. A faint cooing echoed from the far corner, soft, rhythmic. There, in the middle of pristine space, was a plush cream colored playmat, toys scattered neatly around it, a warm yellow blanket, a bottle half full, and in the center, a baby. Chubby cheeked, wide eyed, kicking his legs at the ceiling like it held the universe. Vian stopped. The baby looked up and grinned. Her heart cracked. Just a little. Hey, sweetheart, she crouched without thinking, knees hitting the soft carpet. He reached out with both hands, finger curling around empty air like he was waiting just for her. Jungkook watched from the doorway, arms crossed. Vian glanced up at him. He is beautiful. He said nothing. She turned back to the child, brushing his hair back. What's his name? A pause. You can call him Haon. Vian smiled. Hi, Haon. The baby cooed again, his tiny hand catching hers, and in that moment, Vian forgot everything. The contract, the silence, the ring on her finger, that meant nothing. All she saw was the little baby, soft and warm, reaching for comfort. She sat back slowly, cradling him in her arms. He settled against her chest. Jungkook spoke again, low distance. He likes you. Vian didn't look up. I like him. Silence again, and this time it didn't feel cold, just unspoken, unfinished. The days didn't change so much as they blurred. Vian woke up each morning in a room that smelled faintly of sandalwood and stillness. Her name was now Mrs. John on delivery receipt and dry cleaning tags, but the only one who called her that was the building's doorman. Inside the penthouse, she was mostly alone, except for Haon. The baby was growing fast. His coos turned into bubbles. His hand gripped tighter. His smile bloomed wide every time she walked into the room. He giggled like she was his whole sky. Maybe in his little world she was. She didn't know whose blood ran in his veins. Jungkook had not told her. She did not ask, not because she did not want to know, but because it had not felt like her right. Not yet. Jungkook was never far. He was cold to everyone else, efficient, commanding. She often heard him on the phone, voice low and cutting. Pull the contract. I want every clause reviewed. No delays. You answer when I call or don't bother showing up again. He ran companies like kingdoms, built walls like armor, but then he would walk into the nursery at night, loosened his tie in his hand, and asked softly, did he nap okay today? Vian would nod twice, he is getting better, and Jungkook would smile, faint. Something he would hover by the door, arms folding, just watching the two of them, never intruding, never explaining, just staying. and in his own quiet way, he always made sure they had everything. Groceries delivered on Tuesdays, always including the herbal tea she liked, even though she never wrote them down. Haon's formula restocked before she noticed it was low. Soft new blankets, safer car seats, even a book she mentioned once in passing, arriving 2 days later in a box she had not ordered, and every Sunday morning, like clockwork. We will go out today, he would say. Not a question. Park, she would ask. He would nod. No disguises, no overthinking. Just three of them, a perfectly strange, mismatched trio, strolling beneath sunlight and tree branches. Haon squealing from the stroller, Ryan walking slightly ahead, Jungkook always just behind, never too close but never far enough to let go. The world did not know what they were. She barely knew herself. A legal wife, a contracted caretaker, a woman sharing a roof with a man who had everything but came home to a baby who cried in the middle of the night, and a woman who always picked him up first. They did not talk much, but she noticed everything. Like how Jungkook never left in the mornings without glancing into the nursery, how he made sure the stroller wheels were oiled, how he sometimes stood outside her door at night long enough to matter, not long enough to explain. And maybe he noticed her too, how she began humming lullabies without realizing, how she folded his shirts when the dry cleaning was late, how she started saying we instead of you when she talked about Haon to Jungkook. She was not in love, not yet, but something about his life, this strange, quiet, borrowed rhythm, was starting to settle beneath her skin. One night after Haon fell asleep, Wayne found Jungkook at the balcony, shirt sleeved rolled, phone in hand. He looked up. She paused. I was going to make tea. Chamomile? He asked. She blinked. Yeah, I will have some, and that was all. No questions, no orders, no answers. Just two cups on a balcony, two silence, side by side. Maybe it was not marriage, but it was something, and she was starting to care far more than she was mean to. It started not like any other day. Haun's tiny cries echoed faintly in the penthouse as Ryan unbuckled the stroller and gently lifted him into her arms. He was flushed, a little grumpy from the injection, soft whimper escaping as he rubbed his face against her shoulder. Sha baby, we are home now. Just a little pinch, that was all. Behind her, Jungkook set down the diaper bag, loosened his watch strap, and walked over, rolling up the sleeves of his dark shirt with ease of a man who could switch from boardroom to nursery without breaking stride. I will take him. Ryan hesitated for a second, then passed Haon into his arms. Jungkook settled the baby gently, one arm behind his back, the other cradling his head. He began a slow, rhythmic rock, effortless, quiet, like he had done it 100 times before. The baby quieted, not completely, but enough. Ryan watched as Jungkook murmured something low, not words exactly, just the sound of breath in syllables, and she felt it again. That strange, private softness he only showed when no one else. He will probably get a low-grade fever, she reminded, grabbing the care sheet from her purse. Doctor said it's normal, ice pad for the injection site, liquid drops only if the fever crosses 100.4 degree. Jungkook nodded. Let me know if he gets worse. I can have a doctor came. He will be fine, just clingy. He looked down at the baby, then back at her. I get it, he said. I would cry too if someone stabbed my thigh. Ryan smiled, quietly amused. You are late for work. Jungkook glanced at the wall clock. He sighed, then leaned down to kiss Haon's forehead, a gentle press of lips against baby soft skin of his. Then, without hesitation, he shifted Haon back into her arms and turned toward her. And before she could react, he leaned in and pressed a soft, brief kiss to her forehead, just like that. No warning, no smirk, no reason, really, just a quiet gesture, like she mattered. Ryan blinked, frozen, but he was already stepping back, grabbing his blazer from the chair and adjusting the collar. I will be back by 7. Call me if we get worse. Then he left. No explanations, and Ryan just stood there, a warm baby in her arms and a forehead that still burned softly from the kind of kiss that made no sense at all. Later that evening, the fever came just after 6, low grade, slight redness around the tiny puncture on Haun's thigh. Wine followed the post care instructions exactly: clean, compress, infant fewer drops, and a soft ice pad over the injection site to soothe the soreness. But Haun hated it. He cried, then wailed, and then sobbed so hard his cheeks flushed red and his tiny fists curled into tight little balls. Wine rocked him gently, whispering, "Nonsense. I know, sweetheart, I know. Just one more minute, okay?" But it was no use. The baby cried louder, real tears now, jaw trembling. And then the front door opened and entered. She looked up to see Jungkook step inside, jacket half off, brows knitting the second he heard it. He was in the nursery before she could say a word. "What happened?" "Fever," she said quickly, "just from the injection. I was using a cool pad, like the doctor said." Jungkook did not reply. He just stepped forward and gently lifted Haon from her arms. The moment the baby felt him, heard the steady hum of his chest, the firmer grip, the cries began to soften, not disappear, but dull into hiccuped whimpers. Payan stood frozen, arms still in place. She don't know why. She felt so wrong. She's done everything right, but the baby had chosen Jungkook tonight, and somehow it stung. Jungkook did not say much. He simply held Haon, rocking him gently, whispering things Ryan couldn't hear. After what felt like hours, though it was barely one, the baby finally fell asleep in his arms. Jungkook carried him back to the crib and placed him down gently, smoothing the blanket. Only then did he turn. "He is 6 months," Jungkook replied. "Sometimes no one can. Doesn't mean you failed in taking care of him." There was a softness in his voice, a weight. He looked at her for a long second. Then he asked, "Dinner?" Dinner passed in silence, not awkward but weary, the kind that wrapped around two people who had nothing left to say, but everything left to feel. It was almost 9:30. The lights were dim, the baby was silent, and Ryan stood up to clear the plates. "I will wash," she began, but a sharp, muffled whimper cut through the quiet. She froze. She turned to move, but Jungkook was already rising. "I will get him." She paused halfway to the sink. "I was going." "I have got it," he said, his tone low, calm. She didn't argue. She just stood by the counter, breath tight, watching him disappear down the hall, sleeves rolled up, tie loose. By the time she finished rinsing the plates and walked toward the nursery, she stopped short. The baby was not there. She turned, retracing steps, and her eyes landed on Jungkook's bedroom door, slightly open, warm light spilling across the floor. Inside, Haun was already curled in the center of the massive bed, tiny body nestled against pillows, face relaxed, chest rising slow, and beside him Jungkook sat, with one hand lightly resting on the baby's chest. Ryan stood quietly in the doorway. "I was going to take him back to the nursery. Let him stay here tonight. He is not used to your bed. He will sleep better, then quieter. You will too. Me? Stay. Just tonight." Her heartbeat slowed. She stepped inside. It was not the first time she had been in his room. She had brought in his dry cleaning clothes, checked on Haon during naps, straightened pillows when the cleaning staff missed details. But his felt different. She walked over and stood beside the bed. Jungkook leaned back, pulling the covers just enough for both sides. She hesitated, then climbed in one side, while he took the other. They lay in silence, one baby between them, one secret still unspoken, until Jungkook broke it. You never asked who he belongs to. Ryan blinked. What? He looked up at the ceiling. The baby. You never asked who he is. She stayed quiet. I figured if you wanted to tell me, you would. He turned his head, eyes landing softly on her. She was supposed to love him, but she did not. Ryan's breath caught. Jimin. Jungkook continued, my best friend, practically my brother. His wife left him after the baby was born, took half of everything he built, and gave nothing back. Ryan's chest ached. He did not survive her betrayal. Grief ate him alive. 3 months later, he asked me to raise Haon as his father. Ryan turned her face toward him. His lips parted slightly. I couldn't say no, but I also don't know how to raise a child. Not alone, not with my life. And the contract, Ryan whispered. He nodded once. I don't want a real marriage, just someone I could trust with the only piece of Jimin left. She stared at the sleeping baby between them. He didn't deserve to be handed off to strangers. But I could not afford to trust anyone easily, not after what happened to Jimin. And now, she asked gently. He looked her at, and this time, now I trust you. The silence settled again, heavier now, not uncomfortable, just full of what maybe didn't need to be said. Ryan ran her thumb along the baby's blanket. Why tell me this now? Because you were never meant to matter this much. Her breath caught again. And now you do. I don't want to keep secrets from you. She didn't answer, just shifted slightly. He's lucky to have you, she murmured. Both of you. Jungkook watched her, the way she looked at Haon like he was hers, not by law, not by contract, but by something deeper. Maybe that's why he had asked her to stay tonight. Why he had not taken the baby to the nursery, why this felt more like a family than anything he had ever known. And when the baby stirred again, just slightly, both of them moved at once, hand reaching, touch gentle, not just the babysitter and employer. Not just contract and caretaker, by two people on opposite sides of the same little hut, lying close, breathing slow. The room turned quiet except for the sound of Hound's soft breathing, his little hands curled into fists near his cheeks. Ryan lay on one side of him, Jungkook on the other, both of them propped slightly on pillows, watching the child between them. Maybe he had always been. The baby stirred again, just a soft shift, a faint click under the blanket, but it made Ryan and Jungkook froze, and in that moment, they finally saw each other. No longer just a dinner table, no longer shielded by silence, just them, close enough to feel every quiet breath. He is growing fast, he is. Soon he will crawl, then walk, then run, she said. There was a pause, then Jungkook shifted. I don't want to pretend anymore. Ryan stilled. He looked down at Haon, then back at her. No more contracts. Not pretending to be a family during doctor visits or park. Going back to being strangers the moment he sleeps. Her heart raced. Let's be real. Let's be his. She swallowed. We already are. I know. But let's stop acting like it's temporary. Ryan blinked. Eyes suddenly hot. I want to be his father, not just on paper, in every way. And me, I want you to be his mother, Ryan. For real and for him. I want to be yours too. No more pretending, just us. All of it. The quiet wrapped around them again, but this time it was filled with something new. Okay, she whispered, then softer, smiling, let's be a real family. Jungkook's jaw tensed slightly, as if the weight of her answer landing deeper than he expected. And just as he leaned in, the baby stirred once more. They both froze. They laughed quietly into the space between. Jungkook kissed her then, slow, without hesitation, no ceremony, no noise, just the feeling of finally being allowed. Wyan kissed him back with a quiet hunger she didn't even realize has been building, tucked between lullabies and dinner plates and tiny socks folded beside her own. The baby slept on undisturbed, safe, and around them two people built wall now reached across them, not perfect, not polished, just